All right, I'd like to call to order the Zion Park District regular meeting to order, September 15, 2022. Kay, please read the roll call.
Commissioner Pye?
Here.
Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Commissioner Magiera? Here. Commissioner Rivers?
Here.
President Hartman?
Here. Can I ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
To approve the minutes for tonight's meeting. Dated September 15th, 22. For the personal and
We're doing the last one, the 18th of August.
the last, for the 18th of August, 2022.
All right, and then the minutes of the regular meeting and the personal sub-finance vote.
And for the minutes of the regular meeting and the personal subcommittee agenda tonight.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'm second.
I have a second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carried. All right, I'd like to welcome the guest. Willie, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Haven't seen you for ages.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I come back to see y'all.
Well, come back anytime you want. You're always welcome here.
Yeah.
All right, Eric,
That's next.
do we have a few people that want to?
I think Willie wanted to. Did you want to speak, Willie?
Yeah. I just want to speak to the board. I've been at the concession stand for 6 years. And I want to thank the board for letting me have the concession stand for 6 years. I haven't had no problem, one problem over there in 6 years. We haven't had no problems at the concession stand. So I want to report to the board, thank you. And next year, my granddaughter says she wanted to come back, but I'm retired myself. You know, I may come back with my granddaughter, but I can't lift that stuff no more. You know
We'll get you help.
So anyway, I just wanted to physically tell y'all thank you for letting me be on the park. And I hope the park is better by me being there. Thank you.
It has been.
Well,
Yeah.
Willie, I have to say, first of all, and of course, the commissioners can definitely say anything. I am honored to have you over there. And we've heard nothing, I mean nothing, but outstanding comments made, how much you've helped the kids over there. I mean, it's just been overwhelming. And I personally want to thank you for all your support because you really made a big difference over there, and we greatly appreciate it. So, you know, thank you. So any other board members, please pipe in.
I would just like to say thank you for caring for our community and caring for the Zion Park District.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
We thank you for providing kids with something to do during the summer, great treats all summer long. You know, parents give a nice place to take the kids out to eat and actually get off work, have a hot dog, play in the park, so it's great.
Jess, you got anything?
Yeah, thank you. It's been nice seeing you here the last 6 years. I always try to come over and say hi to you if I see you. It's been nice.
I miss stopping by in the squad car seeing you. Miss those lunches.
I try to make the community better. You know, we're a community of love. So I try to love on those people, the kids, and then now the grown folks.
Oh, and Willie, by the way, you have 5 disapprovals for your retirement. So
Okay.
yeah,
you're not allowed to retire.
All right.
Thanks again, Willie. We really appreciate it. All right, Eric.
Okay. No changes to the agenda.
Okay. Do we want?
Make a motion to accept the agenda.
I make a motion that we accept
All
the
right.
agenda as presented. Sorry.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion that we accept the agenda as noted.
So moved.
Have a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carried. All right, commissioners' comments. Anybody have any comments?
Just want to give out one. I want to say it was such a privilege and an honor to be able to attend the mayor's prayer breakfast this month. It was great to see so many community members out and so much community leadership out and to share our faith. And so it was just really nice. It was a great event, great food, great music, and just like I said, really great to be there.
Eric, I can't tell you how nice is it around the leadership center. What you guys did look a lot better than this year. Everything's going, don't look like no garbage around. It's really nice pulling up and seeing all the changes.
Good, thank you.
It's really nice.
All right,
I
anybody
do have
else?
one.
Go ahead.
I've been receiving a lot of feedback from the community, a lot of it from the family as well. They want to see the Labor Day parade come back if we can. We have the largest Labor Day parade in the state, and a lot of, I mean, just using this as an example, we've had a lot of key, state and federal politicians come through. So besides the community, it's one of those big events where the community comes together. We understand that there have been difficulties to overcome. We've had the pandemic, so to speak, but there's a lot of people asking for it. So I'd just like to make that comment from.
Yeah, so that parade is put on by the city primarily. The Park District supports it. Christine's actually on the City Events Commission. There was a lot of talk this year about if we were going to be able to actually put it on. But I'll let her chime in on like some of the conversation that happened between city councilmen and the police department and the Park District.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did evaluate whether or not we could move forward with the parade this year. However, due to some obstacles of road closures, along Sheridan Road, as well as some, shortages on the police and the manpower that we have within the city,
Which I know.
it just made it too difficult, and we did not feel that it was in the best regard of the community to move it forward this year. It would have meant that the parade route would have had to change direction, and we were not ready to take on such a big undertaking, along with shortages in staff and manpower to oversee the parade for this year.
I've been there when it's way too short.
Yeah, absolutely. And so especially after things that have happened in other communities, we wanted to make for sure that all hands were on deck and that we were able to do the parade successfully, but yet still have an event that the community would enjoy and that they have come to expect without opening ourselves up to problems.
Understood.
Right?
Yeah.
So with
I knew that was going to be the answer.
Yeah,
Yes.
But,
but there was a lot
I think
of,
what you expressed, though, Rick, is kind of the general consensus of what we're hearing around town. So I do think that people hear that and will be working.
yes.
Right.
So with
hopefully
that
make it
said,
happen.
that is definitely something that we are looking at
For next year?
what that's going to look like in 2023. That is still to be determined, but yes, looking at the potential of a parade, and as well as what that whole festival and that whole weekend would look like for the community. But there is a special events commission that is underneath the umbrella of the city that is looking at how to best facilitate that with the support of all of our taxing bodies, including police and fire.
Thank you.
Well, I think we got the right person with the city of Zion coordinating it, so
Yeah.
I
mean,
feel pretty comfortable that we can possibly get it for next year. So we appreciate your hard work, Christine. I
Thank
know
you.
it's pretty tough, but
it's a lot. I mean, those
It
kind of
is.
events are a lot, and you have to do them
Yeah,
right.
it's-
You know,
it's
there's a lot of
great.
planning.
Yeah,
You can't just go say, let's have a
So,
parade.
go ahead.
I caught every Sunday night on my with the fireworks. Because the year past, there were always fireworks like before Labor Day. I'm like, if it's no fireworks, but I'm wondering.
Well, We had one year where the 4th of July fireworks were literally the worst we'd ever seen. And so the Park District came back, it was about 20 years ago. It was 2002, as a matter of fact, the centennial for the city. And the Labor Day fireworks, probably the best we've ever had
there you go.
in the Zion Park District. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Cool.
So,
Yeah.
just saying that I just heard from the community, there's a lot of things that they were looking forward
For
to.
sure.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
we just wanted to,
It's
they
definitely-
asked me to pass the word during
Yeah.
commissioner comments.
Yep.
Yeah, it's nice to get that feedback and appreciate those comments. It's just a matter of moving it
Logistics.
forward
Yeah, logistics.
safely and logistically so that
Safety.
it makes sense
Right.
for the community. Yeah.
Well, again, we appreciate your hard work, Christine, so. All right, anything else? All right, we get anything from the attorneys?
No, nothing from the attorneys.
All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the paid bills, unpaid bills.
I make a motion that we pay the unpaid bills in the amount of $104,964.18. Total paid bills, $334,759.49, for a grand total of $439,723.67.
I have a second.
I'll second it.
I have a second. All right, Kay, please read the roll call.
Commissioner Pye,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Magiera,
Aye.
Commissioner Rivers, President Hartman.
Aye. All right, executive report.
Okay, so we do have a full agenda, so I'll keep this quick. We have a lot of people here to present very important information. I did want to update the board on the Edina Bike Trail grant. Right, so all the permitting was completed with IDNR. We worked through a lot of those difficulties. Lacey from Hitchcock Design, you know, again, was our partner on that to help us kind of navigate a lot of those difficulties. Bid packets were circulated to the initial round of bidding. Now that we're at the bidding stage, was circulated to some larger construction companies like a Camosi style construction company. And unfortunately, no bids were received from that first round of bidders. Lacey worked hard to kind of come up with a second list of bidders that were maybe smaller, like landscape type companies, maybe pavers, someone else that might be interested in it. We unfortunately only received one bid from that round of people. It was just about double what we had anticipated it to be when we soft bid this a while ago. So that grant is like right around $132,000, right, for this IDNR bicycle trail grant, which we've talked about for a long time. And we expected that project to come in maybe just over $300,000, right? But it came in at like $614,000 or so. So it's a combination of what we believe to probably be a couple factors. One, inflation, right? Obviously. Two, a lot of these contractors are so backlogged with work. They have so many projects and more work than he can even handle, so they're just throwing crazy numbers out to see if they can, get that much, right? There's a lot of difficulties down there too, as far as when you're doing that work on the Edina Trail. There's like the blanding turtles that are down there, so they can't work during like the nesting or the migration season of the blanding turtles, and if the contractor sees one, all work has to stop, and IDNR has to be called to protect the turtle. So there's a lot of challenges because it's down so close to the lakefront. So we're not going to accept that bid for $614,000, right? We've talked to a lot of different people about it, construction companies, Lacey and all the contacts that she has in the industry. So we kind of have like a twofold strategy at this point with regards to it. Lacey's gone back to IDNR to ask them if it's possible to get additional funding for the project, if we can get additional money, given
Because of the amount.
the bid that came in,
Yeah.
and see, now we don't really think that's likely, but it's worth a try, right? And then the next step would be, if we need to ask for an extension of time to complete the project, we'll do that. But we'd like to, really rebid it again in the winter, as it
You're not
gets
going to know
closer.
unless you ask, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So we don't want to just pull the plug on this and say we're not going to do it. We don't want to obviously return the grant funds and deny them. Well, we want to keep working on getting a bid that's
Favorable.
reasonable, right? I mean, I don't think it's going to be what we expected it to be, but $614,000 $100,000.
What's
Yeah.
the timeline on the grant?
So we were just talking about that before the meeting here. I believe our grant timeline deadline to complete that project is 2023 November. We can request an extension of time if we need to. But if, for example, we go and rebid the project in, like, let's say January, after the holidays, and maybe someone can get it done prior to that. If not, we do feel pretty confident that we could get an extension of time. So,
Thank you.
yeah. So that's kind of where we're at with the Edina Trail Grant. So yeah, we opened the bid packet. I think we were both a little shocked, and we were like, "Wait a minute, no, this is
Have you
the
worked
this is
with
the
the
wrong
company
project."
before?
The company's Landworks. To my knowledge, the Park District hasn't worked with Landworks before. I do think they're a large. Are they a national?
Yeah, I've worked with them several times in some of
Yeah.
our other park projects, so they do a lot of park work in
Yeah.
Illinois,
Yeah, they're.
in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Are they national or are they just?
Midwestern?
No, they're still local.
Are
They're
they?
still Illinois based, yeah.
Oh,
I actually saw them doing a project out in my community, out by Lindenhurst. They're doing like a school playground and
Yeah,
stuff.
they do schools.
Yeah.
They're working for us on Lake Zurich right now on a
Oh,
park
okay.
project, shoreline restoration, shelter, pathways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good deal.
Also, just wanted to mention that the Nrpa Conference is coming up next week. It'll start, I believe it's Tuesday. Kate and I were just talking. So we elected to do the virtual option again this year. As much as we really wanted to attend the conference in person, just a combination of a couple things as far as like airfare costs to get there. It's pretty expensive right now. All the difficulties of kind of traveling in general, going through airports and going that far. And then the COVID protocols at the conference itself were unknown at the time of registration. They were, we didn't know if we were going to have to be wearing masks in the halls and subject to daily COVID tests and things like that. We called them and they just said it's all to be determined. So we just thought, let's just go virtual one more year. It's less expensive. We can gather the information. Although I don't think you get as much out of, there's something about the personal interaction of meeting people and that. But this year we're gonna do it virtual. So if any board member would like us to register them, we can get you registered, tomorrow or this weekend and get the information out so you can, log in.
Yeah, I've not gotten my information yet.
Yeah.
Has
Yeah.
it been sent out?
No, we'll be sure to get you,
okay.
all the links to where to
Okay.
log in. So
Okay.
you would like to also, Carolyn? Sure. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So if I can jump to the next one, which is the introduction of our new staff member.
Let's do it.
Okay. So we have a new staff member in the park, full-time staff member in the Park District. Trayvon is not new to the Park District for us. He's been around the Park District for, I was looking back, how many years, Trayvon, have you been with us?
I think I started working here in 17.
Yeah, right. So he's been with us on a part-time basis for almost 5 years. And we just had a situation develop with another staff member quitting, to be honest, which opened up an opportunity, and we thought that Trey would be absolutely the best person to add to our team on a full-time basis, to make that commitment to him, to show him how much we appreciate him, how important he is to us. He's super versatile and just an all-around good dude. So he'll work, upstairs at our customer service desk, answering the phones, talking to people, taking registrations. He works downstairs in the sports arena fitness studio, managing either the kids out there playing basketball, people in the fitness studio. So he'll bounce between both of those, on a day, depending on his schedule. He honestly kind of reports to Christine when he's up doing customer service duties up front, or then Kay when he's doing more recreational type duties downstairs. He also is our summer camp director.
Damn.
I know.
Better
So
watch out, Eric.
I
I may not have a job.
I know. So this summer he ran our summer camps over at the Shiloh Center. He hires all the counselors, interviews them. Kay can talk more about how much he does over there, and just what a leader he is of our camps and the great experience that he
Hasn't been
gives.
5 years, has it?
Man, you
In
just
my
might
head,
as
I'm
well move
so
your
far
chair up here.
Yeah,
So
Yes,
he's
does all the camp
super
work.
versatile, super personable, just
Really
a
good with
great
kids.
addition to our staff.
Well,
Great with
welcome.
kids,
Yeah.
patient with
Welcome.
seniors.
Thank you.
So,
I appreciate the
Full-time.
opportunity.
yeah.
It's going to be a pleasure. We're going to be working with you. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So
We'll
you'll
have
see
some
him
good
around
times.
even more than you've seen him around before. So.
you'll have a good time. I'm sure you will.
Oh, he already does.
Well, there you go.
Kay and Christine.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Eric?
No.
Make sure they are nice.
Welcome aboard, Dre.
Welcome aboard.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Make sure they are nice.
Okay.
Thanks for stopping. You can
No,
head out.
it's
Yeah, you can head out.
time.
All right.
All right.
I appreciate everybody.
Get back to work.
Yeah, he's working downstairs right now.
Okay. Now we'll do the audit report presentation.
Sure. Courtney from our audit firm, Lauterbach and Amon, is here to give the presentation of our fiscal year audit, and I think this is probably Courtney's second or third time coming, so she should look familiar to everyone.
Fourth, maybe?
Is it your fourth? Maybe it is her fourth.
I
So,
lose track sometimes,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. Sometimes
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a time warp, but you all look very familiar, so it's nice to see you all again.
Thank
Thank you so much for having me. As Eric mentioned, my name is Courtney Clement. I work with Lauterbach and Amon. I am the audit manager for the Zion Park District, and I'm here to present the audit report as of April 30th, 2022. First, we'd like to say a huge thank you to Eric and Esme for getting everything ready for us for the audit. It takes a lot of extra time outside of their regular scope of job duties, and Esme jumped right into it when she started, and she did a fantastic job. So thank you so much for all of your help in getting this wrapped up for us. The ultimate purpose of an audit is for us to perform various tests and procedures of your financial statements to ultimately form an opinion. We gave the Zion Park District an unmodified opinion. It's also known as a clean opinion. It is the highest opinion that we can give. It states that the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. I did want to also mention that as of April 30th, 2021, this was the 29th consecutive year that the Zion Park District received the Gfoa Certificate of Achievement Award. It's a very prestigious award that is only given out to specific park districts throughout the United States, as you are required to do a little bit of extra work to make your audit look a certain way and be held to a specific standard. So congratulations on receiving it once again. We will be helping apply for it for April 30th, 2022, and I have no doubt that will be your 30th consecutive year receiving it. Just want to give a little bit of financial highlights on this. I'm definitely not going to go through the audit page by page. Obviously, I suggest that you take a look at it if you haven't already, or a little bit later, and obviously if you have any questions, you can always direct them to Eric or Esme. But the net position of business type activities this year increased by about $415,000. This is your Shepherd's Crook Golf Course, which was ultimately a 6% increase from last year. Overall governmental activities did increase by about $2.5 million, which was about 36% over last year. Your ending net position in total on April 30th, 2022 was about $16.8 million. Of that 16.8, about 12.2 of that is technically your net investment in capital assets, which are your total capital assets less accumulated depreciation. About $894,000 of that net position is subject to external restrictions, which are your special levy items. And then the remaining 3.7 amount is unrestricted and can be used to further support the park district moving forward. The other piece I wanted to touch on is the general fund. You did have a surplus this year of about $181,000, resulting in an ending fund balance of $1.4 million, which was about 13% increase from last year. So overall, very good, moving in the right direction. Everything is increasing as of last year, especially because it's been kind of a wacky year, obviously with COVID and things shutting down. So Park District is definitely trending in a good direction. Like I said, you have the management's discussion and analysis in the beginning of the report, and that's basically the meat and bones of what you want to know for the financial statements. But I'm not going to go through the financial statements specifically, but obviously if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. The other piece of the audit report that I do like to touch on in my presentation is the management letter. This is our suggestion to management, any potential updates or changes to your policies or procedures that we would suggest. We did have a current recommendation this year. There were 2 funds that were not in compliance with your fund balance policy, but you'll see in the management's response the reason why. One of them was the Police Protection Fund, which I know the board opted to close and will be made whole by the general fund in the upcoming year, so that's not something we need to worry about going into next year. And then the audit fund was also not in compliance, but it is written specifically in your fund balance policy that it will take a couple years for you to be in compliance. So all of that was explained in the management's response so that you are aware of why that is. Some prior year recommendations that were repeated. One of them was due to a Gatsby statement. This is simply an FYI comment that we are required to give. The Gatsby is kind of our governing body, and they have new statements that come out every year that we have to make sure the Park District is in compliance with. So it's not required to be in compliance until April 30th, 2023, so it's just really an FYI comment, nothing really bad or negative, just something we're required to disclose. And then your general and police protection funds did go over budget, but as mentioned in the management's response, this was intentional due to the revenues that were in those funds. You did opt to increase your expenses this year to kind of spend those pieces down. So with all of that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions anybody may have. I know it's a pretty bulky report. But obviously, if there's anything that you can think of after your meeting today, feel free to pass it along to Eric.
Well, I'd like to say something. I've been on the board for quite a while, and I will tell you, I'm going to blow everybody's horn here because we got the best of the best. And it starts from Eric, and it works all the way down. And I'm just so proud of this park district. It's just overwhelming. And Cheryl was the prior president, and so I know she echoes what I have to say, and it's just been a pleasure working with everybody. Absolutely. And we really appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
I know what a headache this can be, but to come out on top where we do, I mean, says a lot to the staff.
Absolutely.
And so thank you.
Absolutely, and thank you. I mean, it's been such a pleasure to work with all of you, and Eric in meeting Esme this year. We've been working with you guys for a few years now, and we really appreciate the relationship that we've built. And like I said, I've been working with the Park District for a few years, and I've definitely seen you guys trending in the right direction. So it's really cool to see these financial statements this year. So.
Anybody have anything to add? All right, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
Have a good evening.
Yes, you too.
Take care.
Okay.
Safe trip. Good to see you.
Have a safe trip. Be
Thanks,
safe.
everyone.
I will entertain a motion that we approve the audit report as presented.
So moved.
Have a second? Second. All right, have a second. Okay, please read the roll call.
Commissioner Pye,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Magiera. Aye. Commissioner Rivers. President Hart.
Aye. All right, the resolution for the Oslett grant.
So the next item on the agenda, so Lacey is here from Hitchcock Design Group to present the David Park master plan and 2023 OSLED grant that we're going for, which has a max award of $600,000. So she's got some good handouts there of the plan, and she will talk about some of the different elements of it. And then what we'll approve tonight is the resolution to approve the plan and, dedicate the funds needed for the match. Essentially for the match, because we'll still have some flexibility on the plan, on the entire master plan. So she'll explain.
Thank you.
So I'm handing out, we have an overall master plan and an OSLED plan and the Doc 4, which basically summarizes the financial costs of each of the recreation amenities. And so that will be submitted as part of the grant. I can talk while I'm doing this. So obviously this is the grant that we submitted last year, and we were awarded one for Shiloh Park. So it is the Open Space and Land Acquisition and Development Grant through Illinois Department of Natural Resources. And so a few new things that have happened since last cycle. that's unique to this cycle is that the match used to be $400,000, 50-50, and so the Park District would be required to provide a match of a minimum of $400,000. This year, the match has been changed. It's been increased to $600,000. And so if we put in $600,000, then the IDNR would provide you with $600,000 if awarded the grant. So an increase of $200,000 over last cycle. And then also this year, last grant cycle was about a $29 million total of a grant award available to public entities. This year it's increased to over 59
That sounds right.
59 million. So almost double available to park districts and public.
So we thought, we were like, we have to get a project into this grant cycle. You know, they just got too much money into this grant cycle for us to not get something together. You know, I know that we have a lot going on with the maintenance building build and the Shiloh Park grant and everything else, but it's like, this one, we just had to submit for this, right?
Yeah, we
just
couldn't
had to
let
try
this
to
get
do
away.
it.
Yeah, and we had our coordination meeting this afternoon with IDNR just to kind of review our plan and get their feedback on what they thought about it. And they were, again, trying to encourage anybody that was remotely interested to apply this year, because obviously the future of the program
We're not sure.
cannot be dependent, cannot be relied on for the next cycle for next year.
So we have to pull this off.
So this is a great year to apply. Yeah. So I just wanted to go, that's kind of a brief rundown of the grant itself. Applications are due September 30th. Everything is submitted online this year through an online portal called Amplifund. So we're providing and inputting all the data into that fund, and then we'll have the Park District officially submit the grant application online. Preferably we're trying to submit well before the 30th, just being an online platform, having over 150 applicants at one time on one day, trying to get our application submitted just so we don't run that risk. Something happening with the online platform. So we've been hired to kind of develop an overall master plan for David Park. So we have two kind of drawings again. One is the overall plan, and then one is kind of what we're submitting on behalf of that application for the grant. So I'll kind of run through all the amenities here. So up here is north, so it's 21st Street. So you come in here typically to the parking lot, and then there's a small little parking lot in this area. And then in this core space existing, there's the playgrounds in here, the existing shelter and restrooms, and then these are 3 ball fields. So as you can see from the overall master plan, we're proposing a renovation of the parking lot to kind of reduce the size and to kind of pave it and be more, provide you a little bit more efficiency with having all the striping and having some aisles and having two kind of an in and out off of 21st Street. And obviously, since we're having the parking lot here, we're trying to bring most all of the highly active spaces closer to the parking, so you don't have to walk all the way down into this court to say, use the playground and such. So we are proposing a renovation of the skate park, renovating the baseball or basketball, and renovating the playground space as well. So in this concept, the playground shifts from kind of the core space over here.
Eric,
Yeah.
I thought we redid that playground.
No, that playground was redone as part of a Kaboom grant,
Okay.
probably 20 years ago.
I remember when it was fresh.
18 years ago or so. That's when that playground was redone. It's definitely, a lot of those amenities out there are well past their useful life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that long.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry for interrupting you.
Oh no, absolutely.
I
Questions
didn't
anytime.
mean to interrupt you.
That's
No
okay.
problem. Yes.
I just have a quick comment.
Yep.
Knowing the popularity of soccer, just looking at the board, probably going to need more parking. Because once you start having events and you start populating that soccer field, that's not going to be enough.
Yeah, possibly. I'm not sure how many spaces is that.
So it's 35, and obviously there's more room to kind
Right.
of continue to expand in the
Right.
other direction.
If you have one soccer game, it's going to fill.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're showing obviously 2 full-size soccer fields would fit in the south half. Obviously, if you start doing U10s or U11, U12s, and you fit on east-west, obviously you could fit at least like, I think 3 U10s here and 3 this way. So you could technically be having about 6 games at one time.
Yeah, so that's a good comment, Rick, and that's something that we'll consider. We'll look at how much parking this will afford us, and what that is doing is actually shrinking the parking lot, so maybe we won't shrink the parking lot as much if we feel like we need more spaces.
I've been to a lot of soccer events
Yeah.
in the last bunch of years,
Yeah.
especially recently, and it was find your own parking, and we have no place on 21st Street
No.
to find our own parking.
Right.
Unless they're parking at the high school
Right.
on a Saturday and walking over. Well, what does that do in the evenings? You know, depends on what the high school events are going on.
Yeah.
Will they
So,
start parking in the grass because of that?
Right, yeah, and that's farther than like Grandma and Grandpa want to walk,
Yeah.
and that's not what
Yeah.
we want, right? And honestly, too, we want that playground to be hopefully a fully inclusive playground. So, you know, parking for a playground like that needs to be close, right, if people are coming to that park. So that's definitely something we can look at. The good news is, if we keep the parking lot the size it is now or scale it larger, it really doesn't affect our grant submission. So, yeah. So that will be okay to kind of have some flexibility with that down the road.
follow-up is thank you, because this looks fantastic. I know I'm a huge baseball fan, and I don't like to see baseball diamonds disappear.
Yeah.
But I understand that, you know, things are shifting gears, and we need, you know, soccer fields, and we need to update the rest of it. So, again, my only caution would be, in the many soccer events, you gotta have parking,
Okay. Yeah, that's good feedback.
I got one question then.
and it looks great.
Have we, and I don't know if even this is worth even dealing with, have we contacted Waukegan with their, and figuring out how many people they're getting at their games? To kind of get a somewhat of a number on what we can figure
You
it's
know,
going to be?
we have a real good relationship with Waukegan Park District, and so we can kind of ask them that.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just
Right.
throwing that out there. If
Right.
it's worth doing, great. If it's not, then, you know.
But yeah, depending on, you know, the size of your program and how many games you're playing, and like Lacey said, you know, do you have 2 games going on full-size fields, or do you have maybe 4 games going on with the littler guys? But also, I think on the second page of her rendering there, we'll show you what we're putting in the grant. Okay, so that would be what you were looking at was the master plan. Okay.
This is the actual Oslet.
And so this would be the plan. We'll submit both technically. Edina likes to see your overall vision. They like to see that you have plans for future phases and what it will ultimately look like, you know, in your long-range vision. But then we'll also include this OSLAD master plan so they can clearly understand what recreation amenities they are funding and what is going to be a future phase element. So with this, I would say the amenities that we are proposing to be funded with this program would be renovation of the skate park, renovation of 1 basketball court, renovation of the playground, and then conversion of 2 of the 3 ball fields to soccer, and then completing the loop path here. Because right now it kind of comes down and it stops, and so we're basically paving the section over to the main path. You can do a full walking loop path. And it'd be over a 1/4 mile in length.
So the strategy on that reduced submission for the grant, right, is the fact that, you know, we would love to be able to complete the entire project, but we want to just offer the various elements, you know, 1 of each of the various elements in our grant submission, because if you say you're building 2 soccer fields, then you have to build 2 soccer fields. And if you say you're doing 2 basketball courts,
Right, you have to do
then you
what
have to
you're
do
saying,
2, right? So we just want to really commit for what we're submitting for the project to 1, with hopefully we can do the entire master plan, but it's going to depend upon, you know, where pricing is at that point and where bids come in. So this allows us to have a little bit of flexibility when we're actually starting the project, right? So we want to do the whole
this
thing.
one is just for what is being submitted.
Yes. Yep. So, go ahead.
Good.
I got one question. Okay. What are you doing with the our parking lot? There were 2 parking lots
Yep.
out there.
Yep. So the other parking lot is being converted to where the playground is. So the new proposed playground is where that second
Okay.
Yep.
Is this a attention pond?
Yeah, so this is an area that we're reserving in the event that we need to provide some sort of detention, stormwater detention for the proposed improvements. Obviously, we'll know more when we start determining how much new impervious space that we'll be creating. And if we tip that threshold of more impervious, then we'll have to provide some area for detention.
Okay.
And so it doesn't necessarily need to be, we'll determine the size of this pond. It probably doesn't even need to be a pond, depending on how much impervious goes in. Yeah. It could be, completely grass bottomed, and you could use it for other, other uses. It could be native planted. It could even be as small as like a smaller rain garden. It might not even be this size, but we're just trying to hold this area, to reserve it for the event we need to provide detention.
Well, I didn't even think about what Rick brought up about the parking thing, and that's absolutely true. I mean, it's going to be. You got to consider how.
Yeah, it'll definitely be
that's
something
gonna play
to
a
look
big-
at. The parking lot out there now is massive off of 21st Street.
I will say that I've been there for years in the evening for baseball games. Completely full.
Okay.
Yep.
Completely full.
It's in bad shape now.
Yeah.
So
It is.
It's in bad
But
shape.
you also have a lot of people that go to the high school or turn around, people that sit there.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of issues as to why it's in bad shape. But having been at this park for the better part of 10 years for different park district events, those parking lots are full, especially during baseball games.
So if you look at the plan here, Rick, and the current entrance off of 21st Street,
Yep,
I mean,
I see
once
it.
we start to evaluate this more, what we could do is just take that parking lot farther west to utilize that first entrance, eliminate the one that we're showing as the first entrance, and then use that second one. So, I mean, you're gaining another third of what's probably proposed there, right?
One
So
of the
it's a
biggest-
possibility.
That looks great. One of the biggest complaints from the families that come in was that we only had one entrance
Right,
and one
for sure.
exit, and people with the larger vehicles had a harder time getting out.
For
It's
sure.
just,
Are you saying the baseball games at the high school or the baseball games at the baseball?
when we had, I have 6 children, and all my kids played Little League. And now my grandkids
Because
are
we
playing
don't
Little
use those baseball fields
League.
anymore.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, soccer fields are gonna create a bigger draw now.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have more people, should we start doing events for soccer fields than we had for baseball.
Yeah, there's
And the
soccer
parking-
out there now for AYSO soccer, they play out there.
For when we get to that point where we have 2, full-size regulation style soccer fields converted, and we have that, in my opinion, and we've already hit it a bunch of times, postage stamp parking lot, it's not gonna be enough.
Yeah, and I mean, you could have 2 basketball courts out there, so you could have 10 kids out there playing a pickup game, plus 3 or 4 or 5 families at visiting the park. So, I mean, it's valid.
When my parents would show up, the very same thing that you said, they were grandparents. When my parents showed up for my kids' baseball game, they didn't have a place to park. I had to move several other visitors that are, friends, family members, for my parents, other grandparents, and we had to park at the high school or at my friend's business who owned a business there, just so that, people could come. So I just wanted to express that, and we've already beat it to death, that it's enough. But
And we can help, we do have, there are tables that are published for like how
Yeah.
many cars are generated by a certain size field. And
Understood.
so we can help, obviously that's a manual, and obviously having some real life experience and asking like other park districts, it would be another perspective.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
again,
sure.
provide the count based on the number of fields.
Yeah, we'll definitely put some thought into it.
Okay.
Had you considered concessions out there at all?
Like operating a concession
Yeah.
stand?
I don't know.
No,
if it
we
warrants that.
yeah, we did.
size.
Becomes difficult, from again staffing again,
Mhm.
maintaining product
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So
Gotcha.
unless Willie wants to franchise his business.
You can extend out there, Willie.
Yeah,
See, you ain't retired. I got news for you.
why not?
Well, and sometimes some of the organizations can run their own concessions
Sure.
at
Yeah,
times.
true.
If, like some of the times the storage rooms can come with just like a roll-up window, and they can sell their own prepackaged, like, obviously it'd be there, so you're not doing concessions and having to sinks and all that, kids
Yeah.
with that piece. But they
Fundraisers
could-
or whatever, sure.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have anything?
aside from the long thing, it looks fantastic.
Yeah,
It really does.
Really excellent.
And so the other piece is the Doc 4. Basically, it kind of highlights the dollars amount by each recreation amenity. This is how IDNR wants to submit this form. Basically, you have to break down the entire project from demolition, earthwork, erosion, sediment control, hardscapes, purchase of equipment, installation, restoration, utilities, drainage. All of that has to be broken down by each amenity that you're proposing and have the money associated to fully construct that one isolated element. And so that's kind of how these are divided up. But we do have like a bunch of detail and multiple pages and how we got to that number. But it does include all of those features.
Wow.
And so IDNR likes to see a minimum of 5 recreation amenities with the grant in order to maximize that 600 match. And so as we described, our amenities are basketball court, skate park, playground, soccer, and walking loop. And they also like to see, obviously, an environmental education component with every project. It's not a requirement, but it does get you extra points. And so we did have a rain garden or pollinator garden with a small interpretive sign to kind of hit that mark on the grant. And then they also like to see landscaping set aside as a separate item because they want to make sure landscaping doesn't exceed 20% of the overall project construction cost. And so that would be anything like plants and trees and shrubs, but turf grass is all included in each of these amenities here. Any questions? Oh, and then we also include, obviously, this will also fund like your audit at the end of the project, and it'll also fund A&E fees to design, engineer, permit, bidding, construction observations, so those are accounted for in here. They do a maximum of 15.25%, so that's what is this number. And that doesn't mean that is your actual, what your actual contract might be. That's just the maximum allowed, and so we put that in there to make sure we have the money available for it. And assuming that you don't have any like floodplain or floodway or wetlands, and permitting is pretty straightforward, this fee is likely to be less than that amount. It could be more than that amount if you do have, as I said, floodplain and floodway and have to do SMC and Army Corps and all those as we talked about with Edina.
Is that percentage could go up or the fee could go up?
The fee, you can't exceed that percentage. This is the absolute maximum that you can get reimbursed for A&E fees.
And that is a standard?
This is IDNR standard, yep. And so we put in the maximum amount because that's the percentage they put down there. But it could come in less. If it does, you're allowed to reallocate that money into other amenities here. So if maybe the basketball is coming in more, then you can take, and this is coming in less, you can shift it around within these amenities. So you're not tied to this dollar amount per amenity. You can exceed or go less as long as you're hitting your guaranteed match of $600,000.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any questions? All right. So really, the only thing we're approving tonight is the actual approval for the application, the OSLID application, correct?
Yes, you're passing the resolution that you'll have the funds available if awarded, that you'll proceed with the project.
We have that in the packet.
Mm-hmm. It's on PDF page 66.
And
Okay.
similar with Shiloh, you do have 2 years following the executed contract to construct the
66 of 83.
All right. I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution for approval of the 2023 OSLID grant application
And dedicated funding.
and the dedicated funding.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second it.
All right. Okay, please read the roll call.
Commissioner Pye,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Magiera,
Aye.
Commissioner Rivers, President Hartley.
Aye. I want to thank you for your time. This was, wow, a lot of work put into this, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
I wish
you.
you all the best of luck. But yeah, IDNR was very positive on our call. They felt it was a very strong application.
That's a good thing.
It is.
That's
Yep.
a good thing.
Yeah, we appreciate all your help.
Thank you, Lacey.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next on the agenda.
You need help? You got it?
Yep.
You're used to it, right?
Look out.
Busy season. Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you so much.
Drive safe.
All right, next on the agenda is the dump truck.
Yep. So, park maintenance, in our budget currently, we budgeted to purchase a one-ton dump truck. We budgeted for a new one, and we had budgeted an amount of $70,000. So I talked to Todd and Adam and some of the park maintenance staff, and they looked around for a used truck, which we thought might be a better way to obtain a vehicle, especially in this environment and pricing. And to be honest, when I buy cars, I don't buy brand new cars. I get used cars if we can find a decent alternative. So Todd had looked around, and our mechanic Adam Schroeder had looked around. He found a very good option that we believe to be a very good option in Frankfort, Illinois. This 2017 white Chevrolet 3500 dump truck. For $52,000, which includes a snow plow and salt spreader on it already. That will come in the price. It has new tires and brakes and just under 43,000 miles. Our mechanic Adam did drive out there and view it in person as if he were buying it, right? And so he looked at it and he thought it was in excellent condition. So we do think that this is a great option for the maintenance department to purchase this used vehicle. You can see, a couple other alternatives that we had looked at. Numbers 2 and 3 there. Obviously, they don't include the snowplow and the snow removal equipment. 42,000 miles. We're not concerned about that. Adam, Todd, not concerned about that. We don't put a we don't put a ton of mileage on our trucks either, right? Our guys are driving to Chicago. They're just keeping it local. So, we're saving almost $20,000 on the purchase of this truck. I did verify with our attorneys that, so on the bottom page there, so Section 81C of the Illinois Park District Code provides an exemption from competitive bidding if you're buying pre-owned equipment. Okay, so we didn't bid this, right, because it's pre-owned and we don't have to bid it. Mm-hmm. Okay, but we did look at multiple alternatives. So the recommendation is for the board to approve the 2017 Chevy dump truck in the amount of $52,000.
All right. I will entertain a motion that we approve for 2017 Chevrolet 3500 dump truck with snow equipment.
I make a motion that we approve the purchase of a 2017 white Chevy 3500 dump truck with snow equipment. The total amount of $52,000.
I have a second. All right, I have a second. Okay, please read the roll call.
Commissioner Pye.
Aye.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
Commissioner Magiera.
Aye.
Commissioner Rivers. President Parker.
Aye. Okay, now the Jordan Park.
Okay, so we have another display board rendering here for the park to view. Yeah. Got it. Maybe I can set this in a chair or something right here so I can see it. Sorry, Willie. Everyone see that? Good?
Does Willie want to see it?
Yeah, Willie, do you want to see it?
No, it's all right.
You sure?
Yeah.
I can slide it back. Yes, maybe you can move your chair if you want to see it. Okay, so in the budget this year we had budgeted to redo the equipment at Jordan Park Playground. I'm sure Rick's familiar with the location of it. It's out there in, what would you call that, Lorelei Acres, Lorelei Estates, so like kind of just to the north of like Walmart area and in there.
Directly between two subdivisions.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so we worked with a okay, so honestly, I've never built a park before, right? I'm a finance guy. I'm a CPA, and I knew we had to do Jordan Park. And so I'm just like, how do we do this? How do we approach this, right? And so I talked to the people in Waukegan, and we went out and viewed Ben Diamond Park in Waukegan, which is an amazing, awesome park. Really, really cool park. And I noticed on the equipment that it was Little Tykes commercial equipment. So I thought, well, there's a good place to start. This is some really good stuff. I'm going to contact someone there. So contacted someone at Little Tykes Commercial. We got hooked up with who I really think is like an amazing sales rep named Lainey. She works for Park Creation, which is the manufacturer's rep for Little Tykes. And then we worked with her on multiple drawings to determine kind of the best way to maximize the space, the different structures and equipment to bring in there. It was really a collaborative process, including like maintenance people too, to talk about like, is this going to be easy to maintain? Are we biting off more than we can chew for you guys here? because this is a large, park with a lot of structures there. So you can see it's got different areas. Let me go through some of the.
Is this the same size as the current?
So good question. So this will be more equipment, but the footprint of the actual park is shrunk. Okay, so we're shrinking the footprint to kind of like exclude the sand area. And on the perimeter here, you can see it is a concrete curbing perimeter, right? What's out there now is like a plastic border, and in some of our parks we have like the railroad tie-ish type border. In my mind, this is much more durable. It's much easier to maintain. Our guys can string trim the edges. We don't have to worry about railroad spikes sticking up and heaving during the winter months. We don't have to worry about the plastic shifting and coming all out and looking bad over time. So that concrete curbing of the total install is about $14,000, so that's not cheap for the concrete curbing. But I do think for the long term, it's the right way to go, and I would like for our parks in the future to kind of have that curbing because it is safer. I have come across some parks this summer when I'm just looking at stuff where some of those railroad ties are the spikes on them are this far out of the ground, and we do park inspections, but sometimes things unfortunately may get missed. But so it's a shrunk footprint, right, to maximize the space. Again, Lanny at Park Creation has a lot of great software where she can move stuff around and does like the digital, image of the area. We met with her a couple times, a lot of phone calls, a lot of going back and forth on color and elements. So some of the things you can see on the swing there's a generational swing in the middle, which is like a you see that this is a generational swing here, they call it. So it can be like the parent and the child both on the swing. This is obviously an inclusive swing. Let me see some of these other.
Is the basketball court still going to be there?
Yeah, the basketball court will still be there. Like I said, this footprint is smaller. So out in Jordan Park in total, right, in addition to this playground equipment, we're not talking about doing any kind of reservations to the tennis courts that are out there or the basketball courts or the shelter. We have our Jordan Park garage out there as well. So it really is a nice park. The courts are in good shape out there. It's a nice area that has a bike path kind of going through it. Yes, Jess?
You said by Walmart.
Behind it. You have to go down.
Okay.
That park that you see at Walmart is not our park. That's that apartment complex is park. If you're in Walmart's parking lot.
First thing you said that I thought you said quite the trip from Walmart.
No, I was just saying kind of like in that vicinity of Walmart, but no.
Okay, because we got a park on the other side of the street on
Yeah, that's Caleb Park, like across from Graphic Partners. Yeah.
Back on my mind, I'm like, I got it.
Jordan Park is where the dog will be.
So right. Good point. That's where that garage is where the dog obedience was housed.
Near the very end, and you hit.
It's in a dead end street.
Is that where they complain about?
On Franklin.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And you do more
do you remember, Jesse? The residents there didn't like the traffic going in there, so there was a speed bump in there.
Yep.
So it's at a dead end street with a culvert.
So the moral to this story is that a financial guy can actually put a park together.
Well, I had a lot of help from our team, right? We all had input. This is like a 20-foot curved track ride, which is really fun. So the kids, you can see, you grab on the handle and you ride that track. Obviously the curved rope climbing wall. Right, the swings, which is an inclusive swing, which I said. The different types of structures, so like a 3 to 5 area, 5 to 12-year-old area.
Looks great.
So, being the dad and grandpa, the dad to several adult pregnant male children that have multiple children, the parks that they go to, the biggest complaint that they have is no place for the pregnant mothers to sit.
Yeah, we
So-
do have, that's not a bad thought to maybe add a couple benches, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
because the mothers and the grandmothers that are coming, they're gonna wanna sit down.
Yeah, we do have that shelter,
Right.
which is kind of right
It's a
across
shelter right
from the
I
path.
understand that.
But
So
we
there's a
wanna be
shelter,
close.
but-
But if you have
Little ones.
Right.
4 kids, 5 and under,
Yeah.
you're gonna wanna sit in the park.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Closer.
Yeah.
So a couple picnic, or benches,
Park
Benches.
benches.
a couple park benches is a great idea.
If you do too many, then you have an issue with, people congregating,
Right,
other things, but if you have a couple, the
Right.
mothers can sit down.
yeah. And so I think once we get this in and get kind of the footprint and get the whole park in, we can kind of take a look at a couple spots and go bench, maybe 3,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and see how it looks.
Otherwise,
Yeah, 'cause
looks
I'm looking-
fantastic.
It's
I'm
exciting.
looking at a lot of this,
Yeah.
it still feels like being a person that uses that part actually, because I do have young kids and
Oh, okay,
close
cool.
to my house. I'm just trying to see how all that's going to fit in that little
Yeah.
footprint.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm looking at. That's a small footprint, and I'm just wondering about the kids playing on top of each other and
Yeah. It's-
risking injury.
It's a decent sized footprint out there, and Christine can chime in on some of this as well because she was in on some of the conversations. When they lay this out, they do have the fall zones. They know how far, and Kay can just tell you from historical, from her experience, right? When a playground manufacturer's rep is laying this out, they're aware of, again, fall zones and how much space should be in between the different elements.
Yeah, that was one of the first questions in one of the meetings that we had in the beginning that maintenance had brought up because, as Eric had mentioned, this was new to all of us. We were looking at what are those fall zones, what are spacing, and we were able to really utilize the consultant and their experience on that and go with their recommendations as far as what is standard and what would be compliant for ADA.
So our maintenance crew will completely clear the site that it is now, right? Our maintenance crew will disassemble the existing equipment, pull all of the perimeter and the chips, and then a manufacturer's rep will do the complete install. Okay, so so the total price on this, when we budget, so we budgeted $80,000. Okay, the total price on this, as you're looking at right there, installed, totally done, is $106,591. So again, $26,000 more than we have currently in the budget. However, in my mind, I'm thinking about some of the interest income that we're earning monthly that we didn't budget for. $10,000 a month is going to come in, so that will more than close the gap. Plus, for example, if we budgeted $70,000 for a dump truck and we only spent $52,000, we've got $18,000 there, right? I mean,
And
our
you got a
tipping
big
fees.
discount already listed.
Yes, we got a huge discount on this. I know Lainey wanted to be real aggressive in her pricing because we haven't worked with her before. So she really worked hard, and I feel like gave us a really nice discount on the equipment. She gave us $30,000 off of the equipment. So you're looking at $120,000 worth of equipment for $90,000. And the installation is based on really like the retail cost of the equipment. So even if it comes in like around 40% of the retail cost of the equipment for them to install it, right? So even if you pay, $90,000 for $120,000 of equipment, they still have to install $120,000 of equipment. So the installation cost is high,
Quick question, I don't know if this is related to the trail. Whose path is that? That trail that leads where they walk the dogs and it goes around the park? Because I noticed that there is a plan to continue the one here. So I'm just wondering if we can continue the one that's there as well, because it does connect to, we have 3 parks in that area.
Yeah, there's the tot lot, right, as you continue to go north,
Yeah.
right, and then there's Nazareth up there. Timothy and Nazareth kind of all are along that trail. So that's kind of all our property. Our guys cut it, maintain it.
Is that the park that's over there where the fishing used to be?
No, I don't think so. Not in that area.
Okay, we have a park over, what's the name of
There's
it?
Timothy tot lot and then Nazareth.
There's a little.
And they are all
over there
connected by
by
the
the small
pathway.
one.
Oh, by Nazareth maybe?
Yeah, on the east side.
On the east side. Okay.
Well, that pond, yeah.
It's more of a
hasn't been fishing since I've been here.
Yeah, it's more of a retention pond.
Mhm.
Okay, that's.
But they used to fish there.
Mhm.
People would catch them at other places, try to stock it and use it as a fishing hole. I know a couple of people that did.
Couple of tractors.
I haven't seen anybody do it, in the last 6 or 7 years probably.
But that's all park property, Carolyn.
So the path is.
The path is, yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna make the comment on earlier was that middle left picture gives an overhead view to the
Yeah.
spacing where things are, you have a better perspective of
where things are going.
going to be. So, with the top right one, the big one, they can 3D model it all day long, but in the end, when they have to print one.
Mhm.
So that's the one that we have, and then we have that overhead view, which gives a good idea of the spacing. And I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
And like I said, they did shrink that footprint a little bit, so they're still comfortable that we can work with that existing space that's out there and actually kind of even rein it in a little bit to fit all of this safely.
looks good. Looks
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, awesome.
Anybody else have anything?
What do we need to do?
We just need to approve
Approve the quote.
the quote. Okay,
So this would be installed hopefully March or April.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Jordan Park replacement.
I'll make a motion to approve the park creation bid, would you call it bid?
Quote, yeah.
Quote, in the amount of $106,591.22
Have a
for
second? Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
park at Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry
I'll
about
second
that,
it.
so. And a second?
I'll second it.
Carolyn, please read the, or excuse me.
Okay.
We're skipping
Kay,
each
would you
other all
please,
day.
please read the roll call?
Commissioner Pye,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Magiera.
Aye.
Commissioner Redmond. President Hart.
Aye. Okay, now we're gonna be going into executive session. All right, I'll entertain a motion that we go into executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of the board discussing employment compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of employees pursuant to Section 2C1 of the Illinois Open Meeting Act and Section 5 ILCS 14071R to discuss real estate negotiations.
Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.